What's up, people? And this is going to be my review video for Meg 2 The Trench. Just like my other review videos, this is my spoiler warning, so if you haven't seen the film for whatever reason, then click off. But, just saying, spoiler warning. As usual, I'm going to give you the breakdown. First, I'll be getting to my initial thoughts, then I'll be going to the positives and negatives. Positives, I'm going to be going over the action sequences, the plot attempt, and the other creatures. And then for the negatives, I'm going to go over the missing context / unnecessary sequences when it comes to the plot, character personality / expression, and creatures fighting. And then I'll end it with my ending thoughts. Upon seeing the trailer, I was ready for another just goofy and crazy action sequences against the Megalodon. Basically, just turning off my brain and purely enjoy the entertainment. Although it just wasn't executed as well, to put it quite simply. I still had fun with it. There was just certain sequences that really brought the film down for what it, really should have been. Or just in general, just focus more on. Alright, first I'm going to go into the action sequences. So when it comes to the action sequences, it was fun to watch. It was the most enjoyment I had, as I expected with a movie like this. An example being when Jonas didn't shoot Montez when they were on that deck they were on, and instead he kicked them off the deck, and as he did that, the Megalodon just came by and just ate him up. So that was pretty cool. It's generally the kind of crazy, over-the-top action I enjoy, since I do believe it's pretty clear that the movie isn't trying to take itself like that seriously. Next, I'm going to go over the plot attempt. Now, I'll be going more over the actual sequences of the plot when it comes to the negative, but for now I will say that I can appreciate the attempt. Especially since the first Meg movie, the plot was pretty straightforward, and in this case, they did try to make it at least more interesting to some degree. Some scenarios being the portrayal of a certain character, and even an exploration of an underwater base. Again, I can appreciate the attempt. And lastly, I'm going to talk about other creatures. While the Megalodon is cool, the addition of these other creatures was a nice touch. One obvious creature being the Kraken. And it was just cool seeing it, grab people with its tentacles, and even its attempt in crushing the Megalodon. The other creature was the mutated iguana-looking ones. I can't remember their names whatsoever, but it was definitely interesting in that they can actually swim in water and actually, roam on land as well. Now if we move on to the negatives, starting off with missing context / unnecessary sequences in terms of the plot. So I would say that a good chunk of this film had sequences that either didn't have much meaningful build-up or was just pretty useless. So an example being is when Jonas was in the cargo, in like an actual cargo ship, and then he got out because he wanted to stop people from dumping oil into the water. And then once he, stopped them from that, he then left, and we never saw much from that anymore. So it just generally felt like a useless just opening to this movie. Even with the whole sequence of discovering this underwater base that Jonas and his team found, and it just kind of left me wondering with questions as of why is this here to begin with, and how did it even get here to begin with? Questions like that. There's just missing context in this, and such unnecessary stuff that it feels like there's just plot holes. Now, I want to be clear on something. Not every movie has to have such a complex / depth story. But if there's just certain context that's missing, even if it's just something very simple, still, if that context is missing, it generally just kind of makes the story underwhelming and just leave you just scratching your head. They really should have just, cut back on the story and just added more of just the dumb fun actions like how the rest of the movie was. Now we get into character personality / expression. So when it comes to the character personality, it was definitely lackluster.
Just a little bit.
And everybody just felt the same. No one stood out except Jonas, since, he had the balls to go against the Megalodon, but still pretty lackluster. One feature I couldn't stop thinking just how dumb it looked was how expressionless the characters' faces were during some scenes. An example being is that when they were stuck in the underwater base, one of the characters was panicking, but their expression just didn't match current scenario. Again, it doesn't have to be, exceptional acting, but at least put some soul into it. And lastly, I'll talk about the creatures fighting. So the only thing I will say for this is there was a missed opportunity in having a full-on fight between the Kraken and the Megalodon that just would have been quite badass. Again, it was a bit tense seeing the Kraken, wrapping his tentacles around the Megalodon, but just imagine like a more full-fledged fight for that. That would have been cool. So overall, this film really didn't hit that well for me. Whether it's the stupid fun action between Jonas and the Megalodon, or the expressionless emotions of the character's face, there definitely needed to be some, second looks on certain sequences. As for the rating of this film, I will be giving Meg 2 The Trench a 5.5 out of 10. It's generally like the dumb action that's really saving this film from having such a lower rating. But anyways, later.